willing to take as many stings as it takes to get rid of the nest.
Well, but okay.
In fact, I kind of enjoy the stings.
That's
there you go. There you go. That's the problem, and that's why you're in this position.
So here's the problem.
I'm not complaining about my position though.
No.
But I'm actually getting quite happy about it.
But you're losing people like me, and I don't think that's such a good thing for you. What you're doing is, and it's funny, you've quoted me back to me several times in the last couple of days, things I don't remember having said, but when you say it, I remember it. There's something you quoted to me about more than flack over the target.
Yeah.
What was it?
So when
you know what? I'm thinking very strongly about writing an open letter to Bret Weinstein right now. And the reason it would be an open letter is because I'm under no illusion that if I ever sent something like this privately, that it would ever go anywhere. I'm under no illusion of that at all. And so the only reason this would be a valuable exercise is if I was going to post it publicly, because that's the only way it's going to have any resemblance to the impact I want it to have. I'm thinking very seriously about writing Bret Weinstein an open letter saying something to the effect of, Bret, I watched your intervention with James Lindsay with great interest. I have many personal experiences with James Lindsay. For the last 4 years, I've been an independent journalist and an analyst doing deep dives into the far left. I have exposed more about what's going on the left than almost any independent journalist in the country. I have gone undercover at multiple far left events and recorded them and documented them, and those things have gone viral on the internet. I teach hundreds of thousands of people a month about the far left. My bona fides on the far left and what I've created and what I continue to create are not in question by anyone with a working brain. This is what I've been doing for 4 years. In the time that I have been trying to teach people as much as I can about the far left, James Lindsay has spread lies about me to try to undermine my credibility, telling everyone and their mother behind the scenes that I totally tried to fuck him when I never did any such thing. And there was never any evidence that I ever did any such thing. But James spread that rumor about me for literally years. When I called him out publicly on that, James started telling everyone that I was stalking him, started tweeting about me saying I was a narcissist, started attacking people in my community, started aggressively telling everyone on the internet to block me, started stealing. Oh, by the way, Bret, in addition, I have proof that James has stolen my work and passed it off as his own on more than one occasion, and I have this on video. I have proof that James Lindsay went out of his way to get the Babylon Bee to cancel me and remove a credit for my work after a clip from my work went viral on the internet with someone else stealing it and taking credit, my audience demanding that the credit come back to me. And then the Babylon Bee gave me credit. They updated the article to give me credit. They knew where it came from. And then James swooped in and demand they take the credit away because it was James's audience member that stole the work from me in the first place. And I have this all documented, and Bret, I'm glad to provide you with links. In fact, when I write this open letter, I will be absolutely happy to provide links to documentation of all of this. I have documentation of James telling people that I literally tried to channel Hitler because I watched a video about Hitler on my YouTube channel one time. I have James on video telling everyone that I'm a Fed because I watched his content to debunk it in a way that he did not appreciate. And by the way, Bret, just so you know, when I say debunk something, I mean debunk it with primary source evidence that I've collected from the left painstakingly over the course of years. So, Bret, I watched with great interest as you tried to nail James down on what this woke right bullshit is. And I couldn't help but notice that James put it on here's the thing can I just be blunt with you guys? Here is the thing that bothers me about this entire situation more than anything else. I have been openly harassed on the internet and defamed and smeared to within an inch of my sanity for years by people that James is friends with, by the way. No one has ever, in the entire time that I've been smeared on the internet, no one has ever given me the grace that Bret Weinstein is giving to James Lindsay in this video to say, James, what is your side of the story here? I had my college boyfriend doxxed and dragged on the internet because someone wanted to get revenge on me because my platform grew faster than his did. Now, did James Lindsay do that? No. Is James Lindsay friends with the person who did that? Yes. My larger point is, though, that I was defamed on a massive scale for years. And no one ever bothered to ask me, what actually happened, Carlin? What's your side of the story? And so as I'm watching this video with Bret Weinstein just being completely conciliatory and generous with James to say, James, what do you actually believe? What do you actually think? What is this actually about? And James can't explain any of it because James has just made all this stuff up, just like he made up every lie that he ever said about me, just like he made up every lie he ever said about someone in my community, just like he lied when he stole my work and claimed it was his, just like he lied when he tried to cancel my work with the Babylon Bee to get my credit taken away for something that I spent hours doing that he had one of his audience members steal out from under me. Bret Weinstein is being incredibly generous with James, and James is getting every opportunity to explain himself. And he can't do it because James made all this shit up. But I'm over here scraping and clawing my way into this every day of my life for years with no help. I've amassed more primary source evidence about the left than anyone on the internet. I have thousands of hours of far left training and activism documented. My receipts are all over the internet. No one has to question where my work comes from or where my ideas come from or where is the evidence to support my ideas. James has no evidence to support his ideas about the woke right. I have massive archives of evidence, stuff. I have so much primary source evidence from the left, I can't even get it all up on the internet because that's the sheer volume of stuff I have access to that I can't even make available publicly that I desperately want to, but I don't have the time to do it all. James has no evidence. He has no receipts. He has nothing. And yet he gets all the benefit of the doubt. Well, I have to sit here and be smeared and defamed by James directly, by him specifically. And it just feels like a slap in the face. And I know that Bret Weinstein probably doesn't know who I am. I really do get that. But I would like to know Bret Weinstein, if I presented you with evidence to prove every single claim that I just made, because I have it all documented. I have it on video. I have screenshots of it. I have it all documented. Would you actually give a fuck about intellectual honesty? Would you actually give a fuck about calling James out on his bullshit that he's been putting me through for fucking years? Because my work was better than his? Because that's why he did it. Everyone understands that, right? I never flirted with James Lindsay. I never tried to fuck him. He spread lies about me for years saying that I did because he was intimidated by my work on the internet because it's so much better than his, and that's why he was stealing my work, passing it off on his own. We found it on several occasions now where he has flat out stolen things, used word for word what I was saying on streams. James is allowed to do all that. James is allowed to lie about what's going on the internet because he's not telling the whole truth on this podcast. James is allowed to be intellectually dishonest at every single juncture. takes stuff out of context all the time, never looks at the full context, doesn't give a fuck, won't debate any of his ideas. This whole thing started with me and James. Not even because he was smearing me behind my back, which I kind of knew about, but I didn't have confirmation on until later. This whole thing started because James was lying to his audience about what the left was doing. I had direct receipts of that. James didn't want to hear about it. He wouldn't consider the information. He just kept lying to his audience over and over and over again. And we finally got sick of it and we called his ass out on it. And that's when the smearing really began. So, Bret Weinstein, do you think that James's behavior is acceptable? Because I can provide receipts to document every single thing that I've said. And at the same time, I can show you the largest archive that exists on the internet of real leftist activism. I can show you analysis no one else is doing. I can show you hundreds of thousands of people that I've taught about the left using real world evidence that you guys have no fucking idea about. I wonder if I wrote Bret Weinstein an open letter like that, if anything would ever actually happen. I wonder if Bret Weinstein would actually give a fuck. I don't know. I don't even care about impressing Bret Weinstein at all, because it's like, I'm so fed up with these like influencers because they're never intellectually honest. They never actually look at the evidence. Never. We have literally, my community has tried for years to get people with platforms like Bret Weinstein to just look at the evidence. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like my tone. You don't have to like any of that. We have tried for years to get people like Bret Weinstein to just look at the evidence, and they won't fucking do it. But they'll be so generous with James when he's running an obvious smear campaign on people he disagrees with. It's so sickening. You know, it was the Evergreen State College stuff that got me interested in the far left in the first place. That was the first thing that got me interested. And then I find out Benjamin Boyce is completely fucking intellectually dishonest. All these people involved are intellectually dishonest. And it's like, do you guys really think that you're any better? Do you guys really think that you're any better? Because in my experience, and again, I spent literally all day, every day, well, at least 6 days a week, studying the far left. In my experience, all of these classical liberal influencers, these IDW people, they are literally no better than the left. They're no better. They're not more intellectually honest. They're not more intellectually curious. They're not kinder. They're not more empathetic. Like, they're no fucking better. But they pretend to be on the internet for clout. They pretend to be the righteous ones. They pretend to be the ones that would be above board, and yet they never are. And so here I'll sit on my corner of the internet, and I'll try to teach as many people as I can about the real far left, and I'll continue to amass my evidence, and I'm doing my best to try to get out as much as I can, and I'm trying to build more structures to allow me to archive more of this content, make more of it publicly available, make it more useful for people. But I'm one fucking person by myself. And I feel like I've been pushing a boulder uphill for years trying to do this, while people like James get every fucking opportunity, and he just blows it over and over and over and over and over again because he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, and it's a giant fucking con job. And in the meantime, millions of people are being misinformed, and the left is just continuing to win. And who was the only person on the internet predicting the riots and all this shit months ago? Because I was predicting the riots and the left rising up and all this activism bullshit. I was predicting this in December, when everyone else was saying the Democratic Party is over, everything's over, we won, they lost, woke is dead, all this bullshit. I predicted everything with the left months ago, and no one listened to me because they're too busy lying and engaging in smear campaign bullshit. And now it's all coming true exactly like I said it would, and still no one's listening. But oh man, are they so nice to James? I don't know. It just feels like a slap in the face. It does. And this is why I stay on my side of the internet, and this is why I try not to interact with these people, because I end up being disappointed every fucking time I try. Every single time. So, anyway, let's finish up.
No honey.
It's
No
not
honey.
honey. It's an empty hive. But,
Well, but you're pursuing something, right? You're pursuing some model of something that's really good, and nobody else can build it because they don't have your toolkit. And you know that as you
no one else can build it because they don't have James's toolkit. Excuse me? No one else can build it because they don't have James's toolkit. Uh-huh. Okay. All right. Hey, thanks, Gabs. QB, I don't like you and would never hang out with you, but your work, I'm assuming you mean KB, but I'll take the Q, I guess. But your work is so incredibly important. I can't help but be addicted and continue paying for it. Keep doing it. I'm gonna listen, guys. Just to be really clear, there is no universe in which I'm not going to continue doing this. There's no universe in which I'm going to quit. Unlike Bret Weinstein and James Lindsay, I've actually developed a community where I'm independently funded to do deep dive research. I have something people have said to me before, they're like, Carlin, James has a much bigger platform than yours and all this stuff, so he's more important. And I'm like, well, James might have a bigger platform than me, but guess what? I actually educate more people about the far left. James doesn't educate people about the far left. I have an entire community of people that I've built up to be grassroots, independently funded, that I teach about the far left almost every day. So James might have more Twitter followers than me, sure, but James doesn't teach as many people as I do about the far left. It's not even close.
And the answer is no. Everybody who wants to participate in good faith participates in good faith.
All right, there's one thing I would critique.
But if they don't like what you say, and they don't like your tone, and they don't like that you criticize them, and they don't like that you provide primary source evidence that contradicts the bullshit narrative that they're selling, all of a sudden they say, oh, no, not her, because she's not participating in good faith. I spend more time analyzing the left publicly on the internet than all three of these people put together. And yet I promise you, the argument for why they will never, ever, 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 ever talk to me, never debate ideas, is they're going to say, she's not arguing in good faith. Really, motherfuckers, I have a massive archive of evidence, and you have pinky swear, trust me, bro. There are people in this conversation who are not coming in good faith. And it's the people who are openly and flagrantly intellectually dishonest all the time in the face of overwhelming primary source evidence.
About that, which is that your focus on the level playing field is about the idea layer. The most fundamental thing about the level playing field is the well-being layer.
These people do not believe in meritocracy at all.
The idea layer is as important as it is, and it's disproportionately important to people like us who, think for a living. But the important thing about it is that it allows us to discover what is true in various different senses of that term through an unlimited discussion. And I agree, good faith is the key element. I'm not interested.
Yeah, subversives are a problem.
Subversives are a problem. We have to tolerate them in order for all of us who are acting in good faith to have the freedom to actually consider ideas that are at first troubling and then turn out either to falsify themselves or to lead us to something useful or to turn out to be less troubling than we thought. But the hallmark, I would say, of bad faith is the desire to limit the discussion, right? The unleveling of the intellectual playing field through cancellation is...
Okay, I've just decided something. Our next campaign is going to be to target Bret Weinstein to get him to talk to me. That's our next little activism. You know what? We took a break from James, honestly, because James went insane and he was never going to debate me anyway. And I feel like I won the fight with James because James stopped talking about the left. He stopped misinforming people about the left, which is all I wanted in the first place. We haven't done a little community building activity in a while. And so I think it's time that, and I'll talk about this, maybe not tomorrow because I'm having Adam Green on the stream tomorrow, but maybe I'll do a Substack live stream about it or something. Our next target is going to be Bret Weinstein, it's time to talk to me. Because Bret Weinstein is now saying that it is bad faith to exclude people from the discussion when those people are showing up in good faith. Well, Bret, listen, and again, I'm not trying to be antagonistic or aggressive towards Bret Weinstein. I strongly doubt he even knows who the fuck I am. So I'm sure he's never heard of me before, right? But if we go to Bret Weinstein and enough people tag him and message him and say this to him, and we document the whole thing, and if he doesn't want to play ball, then we start doing a pressure tactic to say, Bret, you literally said this on this podcast with James. You literally said this, bro. So I have thousands of hours of archived footage from the left. I teach hundreds of thousands of people a month about the left. I have the most advanced understanding of leftist activism in this country right now. I have a savant-like ability to remember every major socialist activist, the presentations they've done, the books they've done, what groups they're associated with, what those groups believe in, what those groups are doing, how those groups are engaging in activism. I was one of the very few people to predict exactly and precisely what the left are going to do now, down to the group level at which they're doing it. And I did this years ago because I've been tracking all these groups for years. There is no universe in which Bret Weinstein can actually make the argument that I'm showing up in bad faith, because I have way too much documentation. I have way too much evidence. I have way too many public teaching streams where I'm teaching people all this information. I have way too much. There is no universe in which Bret Weinstein can say she's not actually serious about this, because we can present him with overwhelming evidence to the contrary. So, Bret, if you believe, as you just said, that the most bad faith thing you can do is exclude people from the conversation, it's time for you to talk to me, bro. Happy to do it around your schedule. Anytime. I will bring all the evidence that you ever wanted to see about the left and more. Time to talk.
Troubling, and then turn out either to falsify themselves or to lead us to something useful or to turn out to be less troubling than we thought. But anybody, the hallmark, I would say, of bad faith is the desire to limit the discussion.
The hallmark of bad faith is to limit the discussion. Certainly, Bret Weinstein, who is absolutely an intellectually honest influencer, certainly Bret Weinstein would never want to exclude the thousands of hours of far left activism training that I have archived, the thousands or even tens of thousands of documents from the far left that I have archived, the massive amount of clips that I have, the courses I've created to teach people about the left based on primary source evidence. Surely Bret Weinstein would see the value in everything I have built in this community over the last 4 years while James was screaming about Gnosticism. Surely he would see the value in presenting that information to the world. So we'll see.
Thanks for joining me. You guys want to say something about where people...
Yeah, that was a great discussion. All right. Well, I'm glad we watched that. That was fun. We're going to start campaigning towards Bret Weinstein to get him to talk to me. And I'm serious about that. I'm not even joking. And it's like, you know what? Listen, again, like, I don't have anything personally against Bret Weinstein. I don't think he knows who I am. I don't have any interaction history with him. I don't think I've ever even interacted with him at all. So this is no shade against him personally. I'm just very curious to see if he will follow the convictions that he expressed in this show, or was it all just bullshit just like everyone else? And you know what? I'll hope for the best. I'll hope for the best that if I reach out to Bret Weinstein in good faith, and members of my community reach out to Bret Weinstein in good faith, and we do not harass him, and we make no comments about him being Jewish because it doesn't fucking matter, and we ask very nicely, and we are always polite, and we don't spam him, and we don't do anything that would reflect badly on me, if we all reach out to him in good faith to say, Bret, are you aware of this? Because it kind of seems like we watched this whole interview. We watched the whole thing from start to finish. We listened to every single thing you said. We listened to every single thing that James said. And we think that there's some missing pieces to the story here. And in addition to that, we have way more information about the left than James ever dares dream. And we think it's actually important, and we think it's intellectually part of the discussion, and we think it's been ignored for far too long because of bullshit interpersonal politics on the internet. If we all reach out to him very nicely, then we see what happens. And listen, I'm more than familiar with influencers on the internet not actually believing the things they say on podcasts. And so then they intellectually don't show up. And then, you get upset about that because you're like, oh, I thought that was a good one. I'm more than used to people disappointing me. Hopefully Bret Weinstein won't do that. But if he does do that, then we have additional information about who Bret Weinstein is and what his role in this whole thing is. And, it's always good to have information.